Hi, everyone. I'm Kelsey,
And I'm JPET.
and you're listening to the Box Officers Podcast. Thank you guys for tuning in. Please continue to support us by leaving us a star rating or review wherever you're listening to this episode.
Watching a bad movie is like witnessing a serious crime, but have no fear. The box officers are here each episode. Kelsey, Georgette, and I will review a new movie, and at the end of each episode, we will classify the film according to the severity of punishment.
Films can be convicted of a felony, a misdemeanor, an infraction, or on the rare occasion found innocent. This week, we are going to be reviewing the
Mhm.
movie. Don't know the
Peaky
name of the
Blinders,
movie.
yeah,
Hold
the
on.
Immortal Man.
Peaky
Peaky
Blinders,
Blinders,
The Immortal
the
Man.
Immortal Man.
So if you
Yep.
haven't seen it yet, you're going to want to pause this episode, go watch it because there's going to be a lot of spoilers. Otherwise, we can get into the episode. I also wanted to say Georgette is still with us, guys. She
Yes.
will be
Yeah.
MIA for a few episodes, but it's because she's in law school. So twice a year, she's doing like finals stuff. So she will leave to go
Mhm.
not fail her classes, but she will be back. So look forward to seeing more Georgette in May.
Yeah. I know y'all miss her,
Yes. Now I only have to
George.
argue with one person, though. So that's nice. Okay.
Okay.
Let's get
Yeah.
into this.
So I'm pretty sure this movie like just dropped on Netflix, right?
Yes, that's correct. On March 20th.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. I think I saw it like literally right before it dropped, but I didn't know when it was going to drop on Netflix. So I just
Mhm.
went and saw it because I had like a $6 movie ticket. And of course, it's my favorite series. So, well, I wouldn't say favorite series, but
Wait, are
one
you
of my
saying you
favorite.
saw this in a theater?
Yeah, I saw this in the theater. Yeah.
Are you
Yeah.
you saw this movie in a movie theater?
Yeah, yeah, they were showing this movie in theaters for a while before they actually debuted it on Netflix. Yeah,
Okay.
so I
Interesting.
saw it. Yeah, it was maybe in theaters for like a couple weeks to a month, and then I saw it literally the last week it would be in theaters. Because I hadn't known of it, and then when it was in theaters, I was like, oh, this movie came out already. But I guess they were just doing kind of like a, okay, if you want to see this movie before it's on Netflix, here you go. You can pay to get a movie ticket. And I enjoyed it in the theater, so it was pretty cool. Just seeing a Netflix movie go from something on my screen, and then seeing the finale of it in a movie theater, that
Mhm.
experience was kind of like, it was cool.
It is
Um,
really cool. I saw the finale for Stranger Things in theaters on New Year's Day.
yeah,
That
something like
was
that.
epic.
Yeah,
Also, it reminds me of how like I think the Hannah Montana movie was in theaters, or like High School Musical 3 being in theaters, and it's like, wow, look at how far
right.
you've come.
What's your history or experience with Peaky Blinders? Cause yeah, zero.
Zero. I mean, I've heard about it a ton because Georgette is like obsessed, which is why I'm so sad that she couldn't be here for this.
Mm-mm.
But she would talk about it so much. She's also obsessed with Killian Murphy, so that
Yeah,
this was just like a win for her all around.
it's
So
Oppenheimer.
outside of that, yes,
Hmm.
which loved that. But yeah, outside of hearing her talk about it, I literally know nothing. Like everything I knew prior to watching this movie literally came from Georgette. Literally.
Well, I'm glad Georgette loved it so much. I wish she was on the episode.
I know. I was like, you got stuck with the wrong box officer. I
Right.
I'm missing so much context, so much of the backstory. I Yeah,
Yeah.
it's insane. I've heard great things about it though. I'm sure it's a great show. It's just that normally I'm not in the mood for like a period piece,
Uh,
and I'm also rarely in the mood for something like, I don't know, like crime dramas in that way. Like I like stuff like Ocean's 8, you know, or like
I
what
don't
are
know if
those
this is a
what's the
crime drama.
magicians? What are the magicians? Now You See
Um,
Me,
Now You See Me. Yeah, I was about to say.
groups of people like an ensemble committing a crime in the way that like is very niche and also short versus like a 6-season TV show about,
Mhm.
that more gangster life. Like that's just never a
Mm.
genre that like draws me in. So I can look at it and see like, oh, this is probably good, but I would never pick that to watch over like
See, like
Scandal.
heists or something like.
Yes, I love
Oh,
a
okay.
heist. I'm not
Yeah.
too into, like, the mob, if that makes sense, and I'm
Okay.
also not too into period pieces for the most part. People are gonna think that
Well.
I don't have a brain and that I just wanna watch freaking, I don't know, Wow Wow Wubsy all day, but it's like, no, I just have different interests. I also like thrillers as opposed to, like, drama or action, and anyways, it never appealed to me more than whatever the other option was. But
Okay.
I know you love it.
Yeah, I do, and I didn't even know what I was getting into when I first started watching it. I was just like, I even forgot how I started watching it. I think I just saw like the first episode on it, like Netflix was really hyping it up. This is years ago. And I was like, dang, it just hooked me. You know, you got this gangster kind of like crime family, almost like a British like mob, kind of like The Godfather in a way.
That's
But
literally what I thought of when I saw
yeah,
this.
yeah. But basically the show follows Thomas Shelby, and he's basically a war veteran, and now after World War I, he's kind of like leading a crime family, doing, through horse betting or weapons or things like that. And they're called the Peaky Blinders. So it's a crime family, but it's also like just gangsters, whoever's in the gang, pretty much. It's like a family gang. But yeah, it starts from them like starting small, like street gang stuff, like betting shops, illegal gambling. And then it goes on to like organized crime. It gets deep into politics, so it becomes like a whole political drama later on. Uh,
Now that I would like.
yeah,
I
like I
love
think
a political drama. I love a
I
political thriller.
yeah, I think it was maybe the third or fourth season it started getting into that, the whole political thing. And if you felt like the stakes raised from like, these small time little gang scuffles to like some crazy stuff. Like one of the series ended in such a crazy way. Like it was one of those moments where the bad guys win, Um,
Mhm.
and it's just not it wasn't what you were expecting. So it's kind of tragic. But yeah,
I like stuff like that too, because it's like,
yeah,
it'll catch you off guard because 'cause you're expecting, like, the protagonist to win, obviously, and then they don't, and you're like, "Oh, well,
yeah.
now what?"
It's basically like a big mix of politics, business, crime, and like the aftermath of World War I. The timepiece thing. But they do it in such a great way where it's like probably one of the best crime like dramas,
I'm sure, yeah.
in TV history. So yeah, it's definitely worth the watch, Kills. I think you should definitely go check it out.
Maybe I'll watch 3 episodes, and if they can pull me in, then I'll
Yeah.
sit through it, but I know
Oh,
myself, like, I'm gonna be
that's what
so
Blessing said.
distracted from, like, the language, and stuff, like, just trying to like, immerse myself without, like, thinking too hard about the wrong things,
Yeah.
but I'm down to try because I've never heard anyone say anything bad about it, so
Hmm.
I feel like I need to lock in. Shows that are about, I don't know, crime to an extent. Sometimes they're about other things, but like it's giving crime, it's giving modern versions of this
Hmm.
adjacent. And I'm gonna make some far reaches, but tell me if you've seen any of these. Did you watch Ozark?
I did. Yeah.
Would
Yep.
you say a person who likes
Ooh,
Ozark would like this?
yes, yes.
Okay, because I loved
And
Ozark. That's one of my
and it
favorite
felt
shows
so
ever.
yeah, like probably they're both in my top five from like shows, especially on Netflix. Is Ozark and Peaky Blinders in my top five. Of course, I told you about OBX, but I kind of
One thing
watched
about
all of
J-Pat,
these.
he's gonna bring up OBX and he's gonna bring up Tron.
OBX is so beautiful. I am never gonna bring up Tron. I haven't thought about Tron since it dropped. We're not. No, this is a new
That
season, so we're not gonna bring it back.
that will forever be the funniest thing that's ever happened on this show. Um, yeah, you do talk about OBX a lot. I will say for
Yeah.
those who don't know, Every summer, it's only been 2 summers, guys, but you gotta start somewhere. We go on the lake on a boat during the summer,
Mhm.
and we try to have a theme. The first
Yeah.
year, I think the theme was all white. The
Yeah, it's
second
all white.
year, we
It's
let J-Pat pick,
OVX.
and
Yeah.
he picked OBX, and so he was like, everyone dresses like a kook or what's the other one?
Or Poe, yeah, Cougar
A
Poe.
pogue,
Yeah.
and, most people did. It was actually really
Yeah, it
funny.
was our best boat party. It was our best
I
boat
wore
party to date.
overalls. I never get
Overalls,
to wear
yes.
my
Yeah,
overalls.
you dress like a pogue, right?
Yeah,
So, yeah, it was a great boat theme. I'm proud of
yeah,
it.
and it's only up from here. This summer, he's gonna be like, "The theme is Peaky Blinders,"
Nah,
and
nah, it's somebody else's turn this time.
I wear the hat. Yeah, so, anyways, yeah, it made me think of Ozark, just
Mhm.
the crime and the family element of it,
Yeah,
and, like, the
yeah.
escalation. I was also gonna say, you probably haven't seen Scandal, right?
I haven't seen Scandal, even though I've heard good things about it. How long was that show? Like, how many seasons was it?
7 beautiful seasons.
7? Yeah, I've heard
Yeah.
like, I've seen, like, clips of it and stuff, and the clips will actually hook me in, but I've never,
Uh-huh.
like, sat down and just started, like, binging it. But it's something
They're
I'll definitely get to. I'm not against it.
Yeah, I mean, it's really good and it's like an easy watch at
Mhm.
times. Over the seasons, it starts to definitely escalate a lot. But I brought it
Yeah.
up because it made me like this is also like a political thriller. Definitely more political thriller than I think Peaky Blinders ever like got. But even just the like elements of on Scandal, there's so many people in this like inner circle and they're literally
Mhm.
running things. Like you can't do anything in DC without these people getting their hands on it and deciding if they're, you know, for or against. And that's just
Yeah.
kind of it gave mob. It gave
Yeah.
political mob. Have you seen Succession?
I haven't seen Succession. No.
That's a family.
Yeah.
It's giving
I'll
mobsters,
look it up.
rich mobsters. Now that one, J-Pat, that may wiggle its way into your top 5. I also want the record to show I've
Series.
brought this up to him a few times and he's yet to watch it, but it
Yeah,
is
that sounded
so
familiar.
good.
I was like, "Okay, wait, you've told me about Succession before."
I have,
It's
but
a
that's
comedy
also
drama?
something it yeah, I would say when comedy is I don't think the first word I would use, but it's got so many funny moments, I guess I can see why they would say that. It's definitely more of a
Yeah.
drama than anything. But basically this family like is, they're really rich. Their dad has a business and it's really about who's going to be the successor,
Mhm.
be CEO of the company. And it's super corrupt, but it kind of has the same elements of like crime
Mhm.
except different, They're not out blatantly stabbing people and shooting people in the face like I'm sure they are on Peaky Blinders, but
Yeah.
just the
Yeah.
element of crime that I like. I like that kind of crime. I like a nice white collar crime.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd agree with that. 'Cause I'm pretty sure it's not as violent as Peaky Blinders. Even though Peaky Blinders doesn't really go too violent, it does have its moments where it's like, yeah, this is like as real as it gets, or like this is how it would be in like real life. But I mean, it also has its cool moments where it's just like where you're watching this, almost like okay, like Thomas Shelby, the
Mhm.
main character of the show. It's almost like he's a gangster James Bond in a way. Like that's the essence he gives off. And then as the show progresses, how he interacts with his brothers and with the gang behind him and how they figure out how to like outsmart their enemies and stuff. That's what draws you in. And like I said, there's that one season where it just ends like tragically and the build up to that is like you get all this build up from the seasons before where they actually kind of like they win in the end or whatever. And then you have this loss, like this tragic loss. And then it just kind of like hits like, wow, like I can't believe that just happened. And I feel like they executed that in such a good way.
And people had to wait like a year to see the next
Yeah.
season. That's like torture.
Yeah. Dang, was it? Yeah, it might have been a
That's
year.
why I
You're
like
actually
to
right.
binge watch stuff because I
Yeah.
can't sit with these emotions for that long.
Right. But I mean, what did you like about the movie just based off of what you got from it? I know you don't know all the
Um,
lore, but
right. I like acting.
Mhm.
Cillian Murphy is always gonna get 10s from me.
Mhm.
Barry, is it Keoghan?
Yeah,
Sorry,
Kyogen.
Barry. Basically, he did a good job. Whenever I look at
Yeah.
that man, all I can do is think about Sabrina Carpenter, unfortunately. But I had to set that aside because I'm a professional. So, objectively, I actually think he did a really good job.
Yeah.
Rebecca Ferguson is one of my favorite actresses. I've never seen that woman even come close to flopping. Everything she does, she like steals the show. The very first
Right.
time I was like in awe of her was watching The Greatest Showman. Admittedly, I thought that she was actually the one singing and she wasn't. So I think I was captivated by the voice. But the performance made me so emotional that I was like locked into her. She did great in Dune. She actually made me
Yeah.
so freaking uncomfortable. And just like in general, she's amazing. And I would say like with the plot as well, it was interesting. I again going into it, I watched it because guys, I think I need to put this text message in the video
Mhm.
if you're watching on YouTube or Spotify. I basically said, "I'm not watching Forbidden Fruits. I'm not watching They Will Kill You. I already saw Ready or Not 2 and I don't wanna talk about it. I saw reminders of him. You guys aren't gonna wanna talk about it." And so I said, "There's nothing
Yes.
left but Peaky Blinders, The Immortal Man." So initially, like, obviously, I didn't necessarily care to see this, so I was wary, but it was actually a very engaging thing, like, to
Mhm.
watch. Like, I feel like the plot moved at a pace that was fast enough for me, somebody who's, like, not the target audience, to stay engaged, which I think is saying something.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I feel like even though I didn't see the TV show, they did a really good job of, like, making sure someone who's just jumping into the story can understand what happened before. Like, I did after the fact, obviously go look stuff up so I could see, like,
Yeah.
a little bit more, but from watching the movie alone, I could understand that Tommy was a like, he was the head honcho. Like, I could understand that, and I could also
Yeah.
understand that he had kind of, like, removed himself, and he had not been in his,
Right.
like sitting on his throne, actively speaking, and I could understand that he had, like, I guess, an illegitimate son that was acting up. I could
Mhm.
understand that he has some, I guess, really intense family dynamics that I don't have the details of, but I know that, like, there's some
Yeah.
unresolved issues, like, he needs therapy bad. I can understand that Duke feels, like, basically, like, tossed aside, kinda dismissed by him. So I can understand enough, and,
Mhm.
I don't know, I thought that was good. It's hard to do
Yeah.
that because 'cause you're trying to service, like, new fans and people who have stuck with you for the past, like, 6 seasons. That's hard. I feel like I could keep up, which is
Yeah.
impressive,
Yeah.
I think.
I feel like the movie definitely gave people who might not like anybody who watched it without even knowing what Peaky Blinders is about. I
Yeah.
feel like it gave them a little taste where they're like, okay, I need to see what everything leading up to this was about, you know? Where
Mhm.
like now I'm gonna go check out the series because if this is how it ends, I want to see everything leading up. They want to find out about what happened with his brother, which his brother Arthur, which is the one he killed. He
Right.
was probably my favorite character, or maybe my like second favorite behind Tommy. But also, Peaky Blinders does do a good job of blending real world history into their show, into their fictional crime show. You steal a lot of like real world, like factual history. Like everything that was going on in the movie was going on during World War II.
Right.
But this show started kind of like right after World War One. So this is like around like 20 years later or so after the show first
Mhm.
started. But the plot it was centered around, it's crazy because I had learned about this. I think I was watching some type of YouTube short or some video. A lot of my YouTube shorts and stuff is either comics, shows like Invincible or whatever, or like history, science stuff. Like I'm a nerd, so
That's
it's like my
cool.
whole yeah,
Mine is all video games, like, people playing
yeah.
video game stuff and, like, um, celebrity interviews, so
Yeah, yeah, video game
that's
stuff
okay.
too. But what has happened? Yeah, the whole thing about Nazis kind of like using a fake currency to flood into British currency to kind of like lower the cost of their dollar or lower the value of their dollar. That was like real life fact. Like they actually tried to do that, but they were caught. I learned an obscure fact that that was one of the strategies, and then here I go and I see the movie, and I'm like, oh, wow, they literally like adopted that into the movie. It was like, okay, that's crazy because I just learned about this the other day. So I think that was a very good plot point to use to kind of like give him a villain for
Mhm.
the movie. And they also kind of like, they adopted the real life, what they were actually trying to do in real life, where it was like, okay, well, let's just win this war by basically devaluing their currency with all of this fake money, which is exactly what they were trying to do in the movie, if you couldn't tell.
Honestly, like, I was not thinking about that part. Like, I just
Oh,
knew
really?
there was a bad guy. I couldn't necessarily, like, pick up
Yeah,
on, or maybe I did and I forgot. That's not something that stuck with me. I think that's interesting that though, now that you explain it.
yeah.
But at the time, like, my brain was still just, like, wrapping around the fact that, like, Duke is acting up. He needs his dad to come save him. Like, that was where my, as opposed to,
Hmm.
like, this is why he's getting involved with this bad guy in the first place. I just knew this bad guy kept asking him to kill people, and then he's like, "Kill your aunt." And that's
Yeah.
that's all I took away. So I think I was just watching it very, like, shallow in a
Yeah,
way.
yeah. And if you watch the show, like I really wasn't expecting like I wasn't expecting Ada to die, like his sister or
Mhm.
his son, his aunt. I wasn't expecting her to die because I think you only really ever see one of the immediate family members die in the show. I'm not gonna say who, but you only see one of them die in the show. But for her to just die so kind of like immediately or
Casually,
whatever, yeah,
yeah.
just casually, I was like, oh my gosh, like I was like, my mouth was open. I was like, what just happened? And
What would you compare that to if
uh,
I were watching, like, an Avengers movie or something? Can you give me, like, an equivalent so I could see, like, the weight of this death? Or
let me
any other
see.
show that we've
Yeah,
both seen?
let me think about it. It's almost as if let me see. I guess we'll talk about Ozark. In Ozark, it was that chick with like the little blonde fro
Mhm,
or whatever, and they lived at the little trailer park. She was
mhm,
all big mouth and stuff. It
mhm.
was like if her, I think she had a little brother, right?
That sounds right.
Yeah. It's kind of like you have your immediate characters in the show, and then you have your supporting characters. It was like if one of those supporting characters, I guess like
Like,
her
if
little
her
brother
brother
just died suddenly, and that's not
okay,
where you're expecting the plot to go, you know? Because
that helps.
yeah, it's like shocking, but it's not like, well, you killed a super main character. It's just like
Okay,
shocking in a way. It's like, okay, well, where's their death going to lead? It's kind of like if a character just died, but there was no kind of like indication that they might die soon. You know how some shows will do
yeah,
that, where it's like, okay, I can tell this character is about to die because they're doing some type of they're doing a little bit of backstory on them,
mhm.
or they're doing a little bit of like character development. It's like if a character just died suddenly, even though they didn't have the character development you truly expected, you know.
That makes sense
Um,
because he wasn't, like, a huge character. Because when I watched it,
yeah,
I thought that Ada would have been, like, if the blonde girl herself died in Ozark. That's how, like, large I thought she was, but she's not that large.
nah,
It's like
yeah, exactly.
okay, that makes sense, interesting. Okay. Would you
Yeah.
say that, like, as someone who watched the show, who also watched the movie, that you felt, like, very fulfilled by it, or did you feel like, "Dang, you guys didn't live up to the expectation?" Because it's a big deal. If your show is ended or, like, I don't know, I feel like I saw somewhere they said they're gonna get 2 more seasons or something, but they're gonna be about, like, a different generation, like, it's not centered around Tommy. Either way, like, this is a tall order, like, you are basically giving us an epilogue or some kind of conclusion to a chapter. Did you feel like this was a good, fulfilling conclusion, or were you like, "Man, like, y'all didn't rise to the occasion?"
I feel like this was a good way for yeah, I feel like this was a good way for him to go out. I think okay, like if you ever saw like the last James Bond movie, and you know how he went out in his movie,
No, I didn't. Sorry.
it was
I know that I should have, but I didn't.
gosh, oh my
I
gosh.
guess I have homework.
Yeah, when did it come out? I feel like it was like 2021. It was like No Time to Die. That was the name of the movie. Shh, Bella, shh. But anyways, yeah. I think. his because I mean, at this point, it was like he wanted to die. Like he was at the point where he had lost pretty much all of his family. He finally loses his sister. He's seeing ghosts. He even lost his daughter, which I could not remember happening in the series where his daughter passed away, but I guess she did at some point. I was a little rusty because I was like, wait, how long has his daughter been dead for? And then on top of that, he lost, he lost his brother Arthur, so he was at the point where he's just tortured. Therapy ain't going to help much. He just kind of like wants to go, and I think the way he died, where you remember the guy he was driving the car at him trying to escape and I mean, he could have killed the guy. Like he could have shot him before he even had a chance to, shoot back. That's what I was expecting from Thomas Shelby. But the fact that he didn't shoot back and he took two bullets first before shooting the guy, and then he like basically like, hey, just hit me with this car. He's about to get hit with the car. Like it was his kind of like, I feel like that was his kind of way of going out on his own terms.
Right.
And then he even said to his son while he was dying, he was like, I'm a horse. And I think that's a kind of like a quote that goes back to sometime in the beginning of the show, where he was just kind of like, you have to put a horse down after it's injured a certain type of way, when it comes to racing horses. So
Yeah, that's true.
yeah. And I think according to their whole like family gang or whatever, they have a bullet that's like saved for them. So he had his son, shoot him with the bullet with his name on it, because he just so I was just kind of like I was
Mm,
sad because I was just like, dang, like I wasn't expecting to see him die in the movie.
mhm,
But I've seen main characters die at the end of their series, like for example, James Bond and how he went out. And
mhm,
I was just kind of like, you know what? I could respect that ending because
mhm,
again, Thomas Shelby to me has always been like a more gangster James Bond character where they're very like stoic and they have that, that swagger about them and, their way with the ladies and then they're kind of like control over the situation, and I think he just embodied that in the way where everything you see him do over the series, it's like it all kind of comes back at him in some type of way. He's killed a lot of people, did a lot of crime stuff, and you see the moments where he loses things because of those actions,
mhm,
and it's kind of like just at the end of it, he didn't have much to live for, but he did a good thing by saving, not just saving his son from being influenced by like evil, but also saving his country, especially with him being a veteran. He was a soldier
mhm.
of World War I. So when he finds out what they're trying to do to end World War II, which would be the whole fake currency thing, that's when he hops in and he kind of kills two birds with one stone. He saves his country and he saves his son. So I think that
Had
was
he
a great way
always
for him to
seen
go out.
ghosts?
No, no, he hadn't.
So that was new?
Like, yeah, that was new.
Okay,
He'd always
'cause
seen one ghost, which was his wife at one point. But
is that the
when he
one who
started,
was in this movie or no?
I think that was her sister.
Okay, but, like okay, but
Yeah,
that was,
yeah,
like, who
yeah,
they were
yeah,
okay. Like, Duke's
yeah, yeah,
mom.
yeah. I think,
Okay,
yeah, yeah, her mom,
'cause
yeah.
also, why are you having sex with your wife's
Crazy.
sister?
Yeah.
No, I know what she said. I know what she said, and this man is grieving, so I know what he heard. I know what
hmm
everybody wanted to believe, but I just thought that was insane. Um, but obviously the man, I don't know what was going on. Let Tommy rest. At the end of the day, let Tommy rest. But I just think that was insane on literally every front. Well, I'm glad that you felt fulfilled by it, but what would you sentence this movie to?
I would sentence it to, I give it an infraction, one infraction, and I think I would give it an infraction just because. Now, if you watch the actual Peaky Blinders show, when they get active, they get active, and I feel like this movie had a bit less action that I was used to in the Peaky Blinders show.
Mm,
And that can be okay because they're kind of just like wrapping up the story in a way where a lot of the action has happened in between and now you get some, but it's not like super ramped up. And I guess I was just kind of like used to it being a bit more ramped up.
sure.
Um, and then besides that,
I agree with that point, though. It had less action
yeah,
than I expected as well.
Yeah, it did have less action than I expected. And then besides that, I guess I wish I got to see more of the characters that you kind of started off the show with, just as a way to say goodbye. I think at
Sure.
points at points they showed them in pictures and stuff like that. But even if they were to show those characters in flashbacks, or in some type
Mm,
of spiritual or ghostly way where it's just kind of like, you get to see these actors and faces that you're familiar with kind of like give a goodbye towards this series. I wish I got to see that because that would have made it much more like nostalgic and much more like sentimental because it's like, this movie is the end of this series, this good series. So it's kind of like, okay, let me have a proper goodbye, not just to Thomas Shelby, but to, his gangster family, and all of them. So I kind of wish they did a bit more of a memorial in that sense. So I give it an infraction for that.
that makes sense. Those are all good
Yeah.
points. And epilogues like this are hard, but I agree with everything you said, and I didn't even see the series. I'm gonna give it an infraction also. Um,
Mhm.
Objectively, like as a standalone movie, which I think, maybe it's good that I hadn't seen the series because now we're evaluating it from the perspective of someone who has like years of investment and someone who doesn't have context, like, is it good as kind of a conclusion, but also is it just a good standalone movie, period?
Yeah.
I would say that it's gonna get an infraction from me. It was a good movie, but at times, and I think, you know, Mm, again, it's hard to judge it because I'm missing a lot of context, but it did feel like a bit mellow, and mellow movies exist. But again, like I also was expecting a lot of rah 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 rah. It just
Yeah.
and a movie doesn't have to have that to be good, but I mean, I just think this was a lot of talking, a lot of talking. But for an epilogue,
Yeah.
like that makes sense, which is why it's still not that bad. And even for it to be a little bit slower in the action department, I feel like it still had some action and it was still engaging. Like the plot itself was really engaging. I liked it. I have no intentions on watching it again and it's not going to stay with me, right? But
Yeah.
it was a good movie. I mean, it needed a little bit more moxie. That's all. That's all.
hmm Yeah.
So,
I
it
think a
was
lot
good.
of Peaky Blinders fans said the same thing when I was like looking at Reddit threads and stuff like that. They kind of said the same thing about it, how they liked it, they thought it was a good wrap up, but they were disappointed at some points. And I felt the same way,
Sure.
but I'm still a fan, so I'm not going to be too hard on it. I think those two complaints I had is pretty much all it would take for me to say it was a great movie. But you need to at least watch 3 episodes, like at least watch 3 episodes of it. And then if you get into it, then keep going. But if not, I mean, even Blessing, she was just like, our friend, she was just like she got into it and she wasn't expecting it. But
Yeah,
you
that's
know,
me. When she said that I don't
yeah.
know that she'll watch this, but Blessing, this, I don't know.
To me, Blessing is a
I
bit picky.
Yes. And I was, like, shocked that she liked that. So that
Hmm.
said a lot to me that everybody is liking it. So it's obviously good. So I'll
Yeah.
definitely give it a view. Give it some time. I'm
Hmm.
sure I'll like it too. Well,
You're
it's
not watching nothing
official.
important right now.
I am finishing Scandal, the most important political thriller ever. Yeah, but this is good. An infraction, that ain't nothing.
Yeah.
We don't have to worry about that. That's nothing. So, yeah, that's our judgment. I'm sure Georgette would have felt okay with that. She might have thrown
Yeah.
an innocent out there just because she's super biased, but she's not here. So, infraction it is. Next week on the Box Officers podcast, we're going to be reviewing the drama. So, that's Zendaya and Robert Pattinson. That'll be really
uh,
fun.
yeah. Oh boy. Looks
I'm
like
ready
a
to
romance. Yeah.
I don't know. I can't
Yeah.
tell. That's why I like it. I'm getting the vibe that it's giving comedy, romance, drama.
Yeah.
Like I think it's going to be all over the place. We have a lot to look forward to. Thank you guys for tuning in and we will see you back here next week on the Box Officers podcast.
Peace.